Step before the sun, I swear to God I'll never rank. Boy, I'll never break, I'm built for this just like a tank. You diss me once, homie, you won't get another chance. And I won't even speak a word, I'll just let it blast. I put that on the viral, homie, that I'm down to smash. And you come and test the water, see if they don't crack. And real G's never switch up, never take a stand. A real G keeps it solid, never rolls with rats. I'm true to the code, homie, never looking back. And ain't no dirt up in my name, homie, those are facts. I keep it G, homie, I don't never have to act. Ain't nothing like these suckers on the net that's spitting cats. Boosting up their name for the fame is considered crack. You already knew on where I stand. With the homies posted in the viral daily packing strats. Boy, la vida loca, it be crazy in my habitat. Dead before dishonor is my code and ain't no turning back. Dead before dishonor is my code and ain't no turning back. G-File. What's good, G-Life? Now right here in the Inland Empire, the IE, we're gonna be covering the area of Fontana and all its neighborhoods. Give it a better version. The last version I had done was kind of sloppy. It was when we were still, fresh. We're still new. You know what I mean? And now, talking to several homies from these barrios and them passing down the info and all of that. You know what I mean? We're here to hook it up. You know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure I'm still gonna have complaints in the comments because people just love to complain in the comments. It's like, if you don't like it, you go take it up with homies from those neighborhoods. Neighborhoods are active. I could understand that, a lot of people on here, it'll be their enemies that are on here and whatever, and you may dislike the neighborhood, but you can't front about it. I mean, if that's the area in which at least at one point, they claim whatever, hey, my boy, that's their hood, they're there, homie. Even though people don't want to accept it, I mean, it is what it is, homie. I'm not here to, pick sides or believe the propaganda, you know what I mean? I'm here to call it for what it is, and I know that when a neighborhood is established right there, my boy, it's established, regardless of how people want to see it. You know what I mean? But now, right here in Fontana, it's treacherous, homie, you know what I mean? People think of the Inland Empire and the Fontana area to be, nice looking, yeah, what could possibly crack out there. A lot of people like to talk without really knowing. Unless you live in these actual areas and not going based on what you see on TV shows, you will see how treacherous it is, you know what I mean, and how crazy and hectic it could get in these areas. And we're going to be starting off with the biggest and oldest barrio in this area, which is the Southside Fontana, Blackie Fontana's neighborhood. Southside Fontana is the original neighborhood within this area. It is large, well respected, has a gigantic chunk of territory. I mean, from Santa Ana Avenue, I would have to say all the way to Cherry Avenue, and Cherry Avenue, I would have to say it extends through Citrus Avenue. From Citrus Avenue, I would have to say all the way to Merrill Avenue. So everything that's in the middle, you know what I mean, is what's going to, throughout San Bernardino Avenue, close to the Parques, Slover Avenue, Cypress Avenue, all of that area is all Valley Boulevard, shit, all that area is considered their barrio, you know what I mean? All the back streets and all the, surrounding areas is their neighborhood. It's a big chunk of territory that they run, you know what I mean? Well, like I said, this neighborhood is old school. I was told that the South Fontana neighborhood has already been right here since the 50s, homie. So, homie, that's a long ass time, you know what I mean? The 50s, and they were the originators, standard for South Fontana Rifa. Slover Street was the original, title of their neighborhood, and then came the Chingones, obviously the CGS, which is the clica of theirs, and then that one came out like around the 70s. Then you had the Hood Locos, which is the one that a lot of people see up, which is the one that Blackie Fontana belonged to. That one roughly came around the 80s. You know what I'm saying? And then you had the TFK, which used to be a tag banging crew that became a neighborhood. Yes, they are a neighborhood. They earned their rights. They climbed up that ladder. People could wolf, talk, and say whatever the hell they want. You may not like it. My boy, it is what it is, homie. they earned that spot. You know what I mean? They were putting it down and putting it on the map. You know what I mean? I mean, they just don't get to walk around and claiming, that they are 1-3 for so long, and nobody checking them for it. You know what I mean? It's because they are a hood, and then they earned it, homie. You know what I mean? People may not like it. I mean, like I said, I'm not here to go based on propagandas, homie. I'm here to tell it, what it is, facts. I know people in the comments are gonna be yapping a good one, but whatever. You know what I'm saying? Real only tell it how it is, homie. If people want to make up stories and all that, that's on them. We've been in this game too long to already know, the bullshit from the real. And the TFK click started roughly around the 90s. But the TFK right here, since the 90s, it's when they were established. It used to stand for Too Fucking Crazy. Now it stands for the Fontana Kings. That is what they, make it stand for now. So it is the newest one of the clicas. So, the active bunch, even though the other clicas are active as well, like the Chingones, the Hood Locos, and all that. Probably being the Chingones and Hood Locos being like the deepest, you know what I mean? The most recognized, but TFK is the active, youngsters that be running mugs, you know what I mean? They be putting it down right there in Fontana, homie. They be putting that shit on the map. Like I said, homie, they earn their rights up there, and the way you earn your rights up there is by putting a gang of work, you know what I mean? But that's what's up with the South Fontana Rifa, the Slover Street, Chingones, the Hood Locos, the TFKs, the originators out of these areas, and continue to represent it right there for the South Fontana, neighborhood right there. But that's what's up with South Fontana right there. Shout out to all the homies from South Fontana. Rest in peace to Blackie Fontana, and shout out to all the homies that are still holding it down. You know what I mean? Now, as we make our way up right here, but still staying in Fontana, but making our way up north, we have the next of the oldest neighborhoods within this area of Fontana, which is the North Side Fontana. North Side Fontana Locals. You know what I mean? The NFL neighborhood. Not to be confused with San Fernando Valley, neighborhood felons or No Fucking Limit. Not to be confused, two different neighborhoods, just same abbreviations. You know what I mean? Because people, I was hearing that maybe they had moved when they over there and started to click over there. No, they're two separate neighborhoods. They just have the same abbreviations. You know what I mean? Because this neighborhood is actually older than that neighborhood. Because Northside Fontana has already been around right here since the late 60s, early 70s, at least what I was told. One of the originators. South Fontana being around since the 50s already right here, but Northside coming out a little bit later, but still, very old barrio. You know what I mean? Within itself. Now they may not have, a big amount of territory as large as the South Fontana neighborhood, but don't get it twisted, homie. Nonetheless, the Northside Fontana neighborhood, ain't no scrubs. You know what I mean? These guys ain't no, they're no chumps, homie. You know what I mean? They also handle business, and they also with the business. You know what I mean? Right there representing los Punishers, the locals, the SLC clicas. So they do have several clicas, from their neighborhood. And like I say, they with the business, homie. North side of Fontana does get it on and cracking. Their neighborhood is from Cypress Avenue, I would have to say, all the way to Baseline Avenue, all the way to Palmetto Avenue, all the way to, I would have to say, to where the freeway's at, the 66, you know what I mean? So everything that's in the middle is their neighborhood, you know what I mean? From Miller Avenue, that stretches out throughout their neighborhood to Sierra Avenue, by the Bill Martin Park, through, San Juacito, Ramona Avenue, all of that, all those back streets, it's what's considered their barrio, throughout, Mango Avenue as well, all that is their turf, you know what I mean? That's what you call, Northside Fontana's barrio, and they still represent it, they still active, and they still hold it down, you know what I mean? They still put theirs on the map. Next in line, right here in Fontana, another old school barrio that's well respected is the Hard Times Fontana Posse. Hard Times Fontana Posse. Now you just roughly see it up as HTF, Hard Times Fontana, but the original name was Hard Times Fontana Posse, which had been around since the late 70s. And they with the business, homie. You know what I mean? Like I said, another old school barrio. Now these two, them and Northside Fontana, you know, they may not be as large as their counterpart, you know, like the South Fontana neighborhood. But don't ever get it twisted, homie. These guys are with the business, you know. Also had tend to beef with like Florence, because you know they set up shop like close to their neighborhood right there as well, creating tensions between, you know, like LA, IE neighborhoods. But these guys were front and center, you know what I mean? They had their riders, you know, repping it for them, you know, showing them how they do it in the IE and, you know, for Fontana. You know what I mean? Because there seems to be some friction between LA hoods and Fontana hoods, or IE hoods. Well, that was back then, but you know what I mean? That's just how it goes. In the Hard Times Fontana neighborhood, you know, like I said, they may not be as large like South Fontana, but they have the riders as well, you know, staying on the opposite end of Cypress Avenue. Their territory, I would have to say, is from where the freeway's at, all over to Cypress Avenue. From Cypress Avenue, I would have to say it extends all the way to Orange Way, and from Orange Way, I would have to say that their territory goes all the way to Toki Avenue. I think that's how you say it. Toki Avenue. I think that's how you pronounce that avenue. Be butchering all these streets names. And right here throughout Arrow Boulevard, you know, it's also, you know, their barrio. So what's Arrow Boulevard, what's Upland Avenue, Ivy Avenue, like I said, Citrus Avenue, and yeah, like I said, the Hard Times neighborhood, they still right there representing for theirs. No affiliation with the rest of the Hard Time barrios that I have mentioned on here. Like I said, a common theme name that you're gonna hear her a few more times on here. That's just the way it is, you know what I mean? But that's what's up with the HTF right here repping for Fontana. Next, in the Fontana barrios, like I said, Fontana's gang infested. There's a gang of neighborhoods. You know, I will be doing this in two parts, obviously, you know, because, you know, I won't be able to make them fit all in one. We have West Side Fontana Neighborhood Locals, another active, you know, clica from Fontana. These guys are with the business, you know what I mean? No chumps, no suckers, homie. They will get it on and crack in, you know, and they pistol pack it. Now, not to be confused with Westside Fontana Diablos, you know, they're different gangs, you know what I mean? Is the NFL, NHLS, not to be confused with No Hollywood Locals, you know, just happen to have the same abbreviation. Now, the West Side Fontana came out of roughly around the 80s, you know what I mean, is when they were established. You know, the neighborhood locals, clica, and their territory is right there was Fontana Avenue to Rendall Avenue to Citrus. From Citrus, I would have to say all the way to San Bernardino Avenue. So everything that's in the middle is considered their barrio. You know what I mean? That means Catawaba Avenue. Like I said, I think I'm butchering all these streets. You know what I mean? They give them some crazy ass names out here. Hawthorne Avenue. Their neighborhood is also throughout Manzanita Drive. You know, throughout all those back streets. You know what I mean? Their territory is not that large. You know what I mean? It's not as large as, like I said, their counterpart. You know, but nonetheless, homie, that don't mean nothing. These fools still have their riders, and they still put it on the map for theirs. You know what I mean? You see the activity by these guys. People can't even say you don't, but that's what's up with the West Side Fontana Neighborhood Locals right here repping for them. And then now you have the West Side Fontana Diablos. West Side Fontana Diablos is another neighborhood that's, you know, right here in Fontana. You know, the TDKs, you know, there's the clica that you see up from them. You know, and like I said, you know, they're not that old school, you know what I mean? Roughly been around since the 90s. A little bit more smaller, you know, size. You know, if not probably if not the smallest, maybe out of all the Fontana neighborhoods, you know what I mean? But like I said, the size and numbers does not mean nothing, you know what I mean? These guys will still get it on and cracking, you know what I mean? You know, they do have their riders as well, you know, doesn't mean that they some suckers or anything like that. You know what I mean? Now their neighborhood is like kind of like in the danger zone, man. It's kind of like where all the neighborhoods are just jam packed. So their neighborhood is by Hemlock Avenue and Beach Avenue through Rondell Avenue, close to the Beach Avenue Elementary. It's what's their barrio. You know what I mean? That's their turf. You know, where you can find them doing their thing right there through Orchard Street, Langspier Avenue, all of that. You know, it's like I said, it's roughly a more smaller, you know, chunk of territory. But still, nonetheless, homie, they active and they represent for theirs, and that's what's up with the Westside Fontana Diablos. Now, as we make our way to the east side of Fontana, yes, like I said, Fontana has a gang of neighborhoods. It cracks all over, not just on the south, north, and west, but also on the east side of Fontana. A little bit more of a distance to where like the rest of the barrios are jam packed right there in Fontana. But don't get it twisted, homie. That, you know, it don't mean nothing. It still cracks right there, close to almost the crib neighborhood right there. But you have Eastside Fontana, CWP. CWP translating to Chicanos with Pride. Their neighborhood is located right there. What's Orange Way and Spoon Drive through Valencia Avenue. So that's William Road, Demont Drive. So what's between Maple and Arrow Boulevard, and Arrow Boulevard all the way to Orange Way, and Orange Way all the way to Locust Avenue. So everything that's in the middle is what's considered the East Side Fontana's neighborhood. Not that large, but like I said, still be active. A little bit more of a distance, you know, from the danger zone of all the other barrios. But that don't mean shit. These guys still be representing theirs and holding it down for their barrio. You know what I mean? Been right here, you know, established since the late 80s, early 90s. I was told mid 90s por allí. And continue to rep theirs, you know what I mean, for that CWP. I know people think that it was a crew and all that. No, this is an actual neighborhood. And continue to represent theirs, you know what I mean, even though they may not have, you know, like, you know, as long as, you know, these rest of these Fontana sets, or as large, you know what I mean, or as much territory, that doesn't mean anything, because you still see the activity, you still hear about these guys, and they still put it down, you know.